Tapia. Welcome to the Upspin. Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to be a little bit more topical than usual just because of the kind of unusual and overwhelming things that have been going on in the world today with the Black Lives Matter and the killing of George Floyd and just everything that's been going on, the protests, the anti-police marches, all of that. I'm sure it can really get people who have anxiety issues pretty riled up. My own personal experience watching this on the news and watching it unfold in my city of Seattle has been pretty, I'm not generally an anxious person, but I mean, it was getting me going here pretty good. So today I want to talk a little bit about that and some things that we could possibly do to kind of minimize that for some of you that are having a little extra hard time with this. With the wide variety of news channels and social media that we have available, it might be a good idea if you're feeling really anxious to turn this off for a little while. Put your phone down, get off of Facebook or Instagram, or, turn the news off for a little bit. Not that I want you to ignore what's going on out there, but you can give yourself a little bit of a break. It's okay. You don't have to feel like you are betraying anybody or letting anybody down by taking a little bit of a break, because this can be completely overwhelming, what's going on. Okay, so your news feed is off. Your phone is put away. Let's make a little quiet area for yourself right now, because we're gonna sit down and we're gonna meditate. I want you to meditate a little bit. Try to see if you can get calmed down, and then to be able to step outside of yourself and step outside of the emotions and try to view it from, say, like a third person kind of perspective, like you are observing yourself in kind of an objective observation of these emotions and how they are impacting you and what they are doing to you. I want you to think of all of these things that are happening to you. Say you're like a movie projector, and what you perceive, what you see is on the screen, but all of these events are just the film that's going by, and your awareness is the bulb. I want you to become the bulb. I want you to be the awareness, and just that all of these things that are impacting your emotions are the film that's going in front of you right now. The film is not you. The bulb is you. All of these things that are being projected, I want you to look at these things that are being projected and how they're impacting you. Does that make sense? I hope so. If you can just stay quiet, stay calm, there might be some solutions that come to you. The first thing I want you to tell yourself is to not despair. Despair is something that's really easy to slide into when external events are just crazy like this, like what's been going on in the last couple of weeks. When you're in a state of despair, you tend to close off all of those doors that can lead to a solution for yourself, or at least a direction of something positive. You stop looking for those things, and you freeze up, and that's a place that you really don't want to be at, obviously. So get it into your mind first that you are not going to despair. It might be difficult. You might have a really tough time believing that, but you need to tell yourself that at least. And if you can say it out loud to yourself, say it out loud to yourself, because it will have more impact on you, trust me. After telling yourself not to despair, this might sound a bit oxymoronic to you, but if you feel like you need to cry, then cry. If you need to get that emotion out of you, do it, because you'll be able to think a little clearer afterwards. So go cry, empty a box of Kleenex, cry, scream into your couch cushions, beat up a pillow with a rolling pin, whatever you have to do. Get that emotion out. I don't want to necessarily call it a negative emotion because it's not really a negative emotion. It's just an outpouring. And after a good cry, get quiet again. Maybe meditate for another, 15 minutes or something like that. Get a little recentered. Tell yourself not to despair. And just think about your emotions. Think about what's happening and how it's impacting you and what you can do to lift yourself from that. For those of you that are anxiety ridden, think of this. You are not fortune tellers. You cannot see into the future. That's what anxiety kind of boils down to. There's a possible future out there, and you get fixated on that one possible future that might be bad. And you just start freaking out about it, and you can't deal with it. What you need to not do is get fixated on one possible outcome, because for any situation, for any action, there are a lot of different possible outcomes and a lot of different possible paths. You just have to calm your mind and quiet your mind enough to be receptive to see where those other paths are. There's always another answer. There's always another path. It might not be the most easy road that leads you to where you need to go, or it might not be a simple answer, but there always will be one. And the truth of the matter is, most of the time, none of the answers are simple. Some changes come gradually and kind of easily just because it's a passive change as time goes by. But for big changes, sometimes things have to get kind of hard to force us to make those hard decisions. And I think that's what we're in right now. Maybe individually and as a collective, the entire world. There's a lot going on right now through COVID, through the protests and all of that going on right now, politically, everything. And this is just one of those years where everybody is going to have to make really difficult and hard choices. So if you can accept that, that will help a lot. Just accept the fact that there are going to be some difficult choices. And if you can steel yourself to that fact, that's going to help you out a lot. It'll give you a little heads up. Not that you're not going to be surprised by things because, it just seems like the weirdness level of this year has just been ticking up and up and up. You can still be surprised, but as long as you can kind of steel yourself and maybe expect that something weird might happen, you won't be that surprised. And maybe you can even look at it with a little bit of a sense of humor. That's kind of how I deal with a lot of things. Not that I think that this stuff is funny. I just think the fact that everything is getting weirder and weirder and weirder is kind of funny in a weird way. So, but that's just me. That's how I process stuff. I'm very serious about all of these things, but at the same time, when something truly bizarre happens, I kind of chuckle and shake my head like, oh, okay, well, I didn't see that on my bingo card, so not to make light of any of these situations, but that's how I deal. So another thing you can do that I will always endorse is journaling. Sometimes, if the squirrels are just running through my head too quickly and there's too much noise going on up there for me to meditate, I will journal because it kind of gets me to the same place. I can start to empty my mind out, everything quiets down, and I can kind of focus on what it is I'm actually feeling. And it also gives me a way to get myself into that third-person observation mode where I can see what my emotions are, kind of detach myself from my ego and just see the words that I'm writing. I will write whatever I want to write. It will just kind of start flowing out. And I recommend this just because if you can get into a good habit of that and where you can just kind of let your emotions out through the pen onto the page, you can surprise yourself. You can really surprise yourself sometimes because you'll write something that you didn't really realize that you were thinking or feeling. And it'll just come out and it can be really profound to you. So that's another really great tool, and I heartily endorse it. So next, I'm going to discuss some other practical things that you can actually do by getting up and going out and getting active and putting something into action. Because if you're feeling pent up and you're feeling despair and you're feeling helpless or anger or sadness or whatever, these are some things that you're going to be able to do to maybe lift yourself up out of those feelings. So right after this, I'll be back and talk about that a little bit.